Let's get more on all of this with Samuel Ramani, an Associate Fellow at RUSI, a think tank here in London, and CEO of Pangea Geopolitical Risk. Great to have you with us again, Samuel. So what do you expect to come out of this big summit happening today in Egypt? And what are the immediate challenges, the most pressing practical challenges in getting the ceasefire deal's terms implemented, particularly over aid?
Well, basically, the big thing that we're going to be seeing is the Phase 1 implementation taking root. So the hostage releases, the prisoner swaps happening, as well as the a roadmap to try to provide unconditional humanitarian aid. I'm quite confident that the first two things are going to happen, notwithstanding the history of Yahya Sinwar being released and October 7th happening, and some of the difficulties that we had the last couple of times with Hamas releasing the hostages one by one or two by two. I think those two are going to be resolved. The aid issue is going to be much more contentious because it requires a disarmament of Hamas, an Israeli troop withdrawal, and also coordination between the Israelis and the United Nations over key channels like Rafah. And given the mistrust between Israel and the UN, given Hamas's resistance to demilitarization, and given the hardline pressure on Netanyahu not to withdraw fully, it could be difficult to get aid flowing into Gaza to the extent needed to avoid an even worse famine and to improve the situation.
And another major longer-term challenge, how Gaza will be run, with many calling this US-led Board of Peace a neo-colonial construct. And what's the role of the PLA going to be, the authority, and also for neighbouring Arab states in reconstruction, which some people are saying could take up to 15 years just to clear the rubble?
Yeah, so the reason why I didn't really emphasize the governance plan so much as an immediate outcome is because I think that it's probably going to be a vaguer roadmap with fewer details about exactly what's going to happen in terms of the transition. And obviously this is going to be in subsequent phases. I think it's going to be kind of a technocratic administration. You're going to have the United Nations, and you're going to have various international stakeholders coming in, Gulf investors, and then hopefully a movement towards some kind of Palestinian self-rule, most likely the Palestinian Authority. But the Palestinian Authority is not going to be initially a part of that transitional process. Mahmoud Abbas is very unpopular, especially in the Gaza Strip. And there are also doubts amongst many Palestinian nationalists that if Abbas is seen to be acquiescent to this transition and acquiescent to Israel's occupation and dealing with the Israelis, he may lose his legitimacy. So I think it's going to be very hard to come up with a real workable long-term plan for Gaza. And the Palestinian Authority, whether they are engaged with this or whether they don't engage with this, are going to be kind of burnt either way.
And of course the underlying conflict between the Israelis and the Palestinians going back a century, that's not in any way solved. And our hopes now for a two-state solution just as far away as they've ever been. And what about the West Bank? Is that more likely to be annexed now?
Exactly. I mean, I think that the two-state solution is extremely far away. The division between the United States on the one side, opposing a Palestinian state, and the European Arab consensus, which used to be favoring it, is not likely to be resolved anytime soon. I think that there is also, unless there is a movement towards a Palestinian state, the progress of the Abraham Accords, like an Israeli-Saudi normalization, is also unlikely to take place. So this is not going to be a summit or a peace plan that's going to necessarily bring the region together and resolve a lot of the core issues that we've seen. Also, I don't think it's necessarily going to resolve some of the issues resolving Iran. We saw Israel, for example, striking Hezbollah in Lebanon, injuring a UN personnel person over the course of the past 24 hours. So we should be realistic of what this is going to do. This is going to end the war in Gaza temporarily, release the hostages, ease humanitarian suffering in Gaza, but the hardest questions are still to come. And instability in the Middle East and the prospect of a reignition of this conflict is very likely.
Samuel, thank you so much for your insights. Samuel Ramani, Associate Fellow at RUSI and CEO of Pangea Geopolitical Risk.